Howdy folks, this is Nick, or Nelward, whichever you prefer to call me by. So this video is for my prospective composition students, but I figured I'd just put it public anyway. This is the first assignment that I like to give before my students come into a lesson. So I like to do this just to assess what level they're at. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start with a melody and write the rest in order. So you're going to start with the melody, then you're going to write the bass line, or the bottom line, and then you're going to write the middle voices. So I want you to use the diatonic pattern, which is just the major scale. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a major key. It just has to have that whole, half, whole, half. Just so here, I'm going to do my own little melody. Cool. So it's a very simple melody. It's got A, B, A, B form. So here's A. Here's B. Cool. And then once again A. And a slight variation of B. Alright. So now I'm going to do a little bass line. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this up. Bass line in. Okay, and next is to write the middle voices. So I'm just going to use two middle voices for this. You can play them, but since I'm doing this kind of in a sort of part writing style, I'm just going to pencil them in. Alright, so the middle voices are in. Let's listen. That's better. Okay, so in the middle voices, what I was concerned with was good voice leading. So voice leading means when the voices move, you only want to move by like a half step or a step, if at all. As you can see between these two chords here, I've got common tones. Actually, these three chords here. Because the purpose of that is because I want most of the attention to be on the top line or in the bottom line. I don't want to attract much attention to the middle voices. Okay, so now I've got all my voices, and what I want to do now is add more definition to the bass line. Nice. So now that was perfectly in time. That's no problem. That's why that's the beauty of MIDI. You can fix it. I didn't state this clearly in the earlier in the video, but what I meant to say was your bass line and your melody, or the bottom line, top line, can move around quite a bit. So now that I've got my bass line has more definition, I want to do the same to the chords, because the chords right now are just sustaining. Cool. So I didn't end up doing really that much to the middle voices. So now let's quantize it, because why not? And if you want, you can mult these out into different instruments. So like you can give the melody to a lead instrument, and give the middle voices to their own instrument, give the bass to their own instrument. But I'll let you do that in your own assignment, if you please. Nice. So I have all my main elements there. I'm just going to add some little sexy flourishes. So yeah, just a short, simple melody with nice voice leading, and that's pretty much all I'm looking for. The reason I like this process is because it lends itself to reharmonization very well. So obviously these chords are pretty straightforward, but check this out. So if I wanted to write a more complex chord progression under it, I could write something like this. This is something I pulled out of my butt, but what I think about a lot in my lessons, or just in general, is the intervallic relationship between notes. When I came up with this bass line, I was like, well, what kind of interval do I want to create? And then I can build the chord from there. So I was like, going through the notes, that sounds kind of cool, but I want something that's a little bit out there, a little bit tense. So I decided to go with the major ninth, and I know an F in the bass, G in the melody, I can create a major ninth chord. So that would sound like this, and I went from there. So yeah, knowing your intervals is good. A couple of other notes. What I want to avoid is kind of block-based harmonic rhythm. So I want the harmonic rhythm to be variant. As you can see here, we've got a chord that goes for 3 beats. And we've got a chord that goes for 1 beat, and you got a chord that goes for 2 beats, followed by 2 quarter note chords here. An example of a block-based chord progression would be where the chords go for maybe a half note or a whole note for the entire measure, and they don't change. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if it just does that for the entire piece, it's not as interesting when it does that. And this is Nelward signing out.